Alright, let us begin. Good morning, everybody. Alright, we are getting into 1 Kings Part 5. Can you believe it? We're nearly halfway there. As I mentioned, we are talking about really the peak of Solomon's reign, right down to the decline, okay? The decline, the beginning of the downfall. The end, okay? So it went really fast. We didn't talk about too many details of this and that of Solomon's life. We really mainly talked about what he did and what he accomplished. As we know, he built the temple. He built the temple of the Lord, and he built his palace, and he built up a lot around Jerusalem and Israel, which we will learn. Let's go ahead and just start out with a quote here. It says, "If there was ever than this of persons acting in concert together, this is that case." This is from Sir R. Megarry, Arabinesque at law, from Arabinesque at law, Arabinesque at law, excuse me, 1969. Okay, so if there was ever a case of clear evidence of people working together, collaborating, right, joining forces, this is that case. And we did talk about that. So how great and convenient that this quote is here, lined up essentially with this section here. So that was King Solomon's strength, right? He joined forces with Egypt first and foremost. And then he just saw how well that did on it by itself, and continued to build alliances. He built alliances within the Israelite community, right? He hired somebody from the tribe of Naphtali to do a lot of work around Jerusalem, around the temple, within the temple. He ended up giving a lot of land to that individual, right? Anywho, so I think I have business going on. I apologize, but he gave a lot of land. He wasn't so happy with the land, so they ended up doing some more work to go ahead and rebuild that. But nonetheless, there were a lot of alliances being made. Solomon married a lot of kings, married a lot of queens, therefore joining alliances with the kings, okay? So let's go ahead and begin. Well, the king's daughters, right? The princesses, made them queens, joining alliances. Okay. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Just a short little section. We're starting out with chapter 9, and it begins with, "At the end of 20 years, during which Solomon built these two buildings, the temple of the Lord and the royal palace, and Solomon rebuilt Gezer. He built up Lower Beth Horon, whatever he desired to build in Jerusalem, in Lebanon, and throughout all the territory he ruled. And Hiram sent his men, sailors who knew the sea, to serve in the fleet with Solomon's men." So this relationship, right? Hiram was from the tribe of Naphtali. His mother was a widow from Naphtali. He really built a foundation with him, and they ended up going out to the sea, right? Going and raiding, I would say, kind of like pirates, new territories. They brought back lots of gold during that time, okay? It says here, when the queen of Sheba heard about the fame of Solomon and his relationship to the Lord, she came to test Solomon with hard questions. So she goes to Solomon, and she is not of the God that Solomon is and that we are, right? She does not have that faith, but she learned about the faith to the Lord. She wanted to learn everything there was to learn about the Lord and about Solomon's way of managing and ruling, and really was picking his brain and trying to gather wisdom. She did not believe, that this was a real event and that Solomon was acquiring all this wealth, but when she arrived, she saw it with her own eyes, as it says, "But I did not believe these things until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half of what was told me in wisdom and in wealth. You have far exceeded the report I heard." So she came and she saw and was amazed. King Solomon gave the Queen of Sheba all she desired and asked for, besides what he had given her out of his royal bounty. Then she left and returned with her own retinue to her own country. So the Queen of Sheba actually gave Solomon a lot of spices and things himself, and then in return Solomon had granted her with lots of gifts and things to trade, right? It was kind of like a trade relationship that they had. It says here, the weight of gold that Solomon received yearly was 666 talents, not including the revenues from merchants and traders, and from all the Arabian kings and the governors of the territories. So this is just to give you a little picture, a little snapshot of the wealth that King Solomon has amassed. Yearly he was bringing in 666 talents. And to you all, let me just put that in perspective. A talent is approximately 66 pounds. So he was bringing 666 times 66 talents of gold. And I did do the math, okay? And how could I not? That's 44,000 pounds of gold a year. Can you imagine, right? That is serious, serious wealth at that time. Can you imagine at that time? Even now, 46,000 pounds of gold today, or excuse me, 44,000 would be absurd, right? So, incredible wealth. He also had made 300 small shields of hammered gold, with 3 menas of gold in each shield. The king put them in the palace of the Forest of Lebanon. It says here, the king made silver as common in Jerusalem as stones, and cedar as plentiful as sycamore fig trees in the foothills. So not only did King Solomon know how to produce wealth, or acquire wealth, I should say, he learned how to produce it, right? He learned how to multiply it. And that was a gift of his great wisdom that really came from the Lord, that multiplication factor, right? It says here, however, King Solomon loved many foreign women besides Pharaoh's daughter, Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and the Hittites. And remember I mentioned these were all descendants of Canaan. The Moabites, the Ammonites, Edomites, all the time. We're wondering, what made these people so different? It's because they were descendants of Cain, right? So we have Abel and Cain, right? They came from Canaan, of Canaanites, okay? Sorry, you guys. It's a little noisy. A little noisy. Oh, and you know what? I misspoke. Good thing I corrected this right away. We talked about Cain, right? How Cain killed Abel, da-da-da-da-da. Canaanites actually descended from Ham's son. Okay, so there was no direct thing from Cain. I think I'm misspeaking here. Son of Ham. Canaan was the son of Ham. Okay. The grandson of Noah. I apologize. Okay. Canaanites. I apologize. Anyways, okay. We're wondering, right? What is the problem, right, with the Moabites, the Edomites? Nothing inherently. There's nothing inherently wrong with these people. They conjured up trouble within Jerusalem, within Israel, because of the worship of other gods. So it says here, on a hill east of Jerusalem, Solomon built a high-powered place for Shamash, the detestable god of Moab, and for Molech, the detestable god of the Ammonites. So it was that right there, right, that wasn't supposed to be done. Solomon of all people, right? But he had many, many wives. He had a trade nation that he was trying to appease, right? People coming from all over. So he almost took like an inclusive approach to everything, right? Nothing inherently wrong with that, but again, it's the example that is set, right? And the pattern that follows that we'll learn about. We'll see what happens. But of course, God, who gave him everything, who saw him twice in visions, who granted him with these gifts of wisdom and governance, of course he is going to take that as some kind of disrespect, of course. So this is the beginning. This is where I will leave it, because it kind of goes downhill from here, if you will. But we'll learn about that tomorrow. I do have some things going on out there that I do need to attend to. So I appreciate you guys listening, right? We saw the rise, and we're beginning to see the fall. Um, but, you know, at least it's a good story to tell, right? Thanks for listening, you guys. I'll catch you later. Have a great rest of your day, and see you soon.